Hey everybody, welcome to English 112. This course is kind of the second part of this English 111, English 112 combo class. If you're taking this class, you're probably a transfer student. It's probably a requirement for you. I want to just walk you through the syllabus. I want to tell you a little bit more about myself. So that's the purpose of this video. I'm going to do my best to keep the video as short as possible. However, I am long-winded. I know that about myself. I can admit that. It's okay. And I made this video in my 111 class earlier, and it took me like 45 minutes. So it could take me a while to make this video, but I'm going to try to be as short as possible if I can. So my name is Lisa Osborne. If you've read any reviews under the name Lisa Graham, that's my maiden name. So you might hear that. You might see somewhere in Blackboard, if I haven't updated something yet, that it says Lisa Graham, but it's me. My email's here on the screen. If you ever need to get in contact with me, please feel free to email me. That's kind of like one of my philosophies, is that I will always email you back. I will always answer the questions that you have. I love to hear from you guys, so please don't ever hesitate to email me. I was a student for a really long time. I went to UNCW and I got my bachelor's. I have 2 bachelor's degrees, one in English and one in human resource management. And then I stayed at UNCW and I got my master's degree there in English. I've been teaching at Cape Fear since 2012. I taught part-time at first, and then I taught full-time. Just recently, last May, I moved to Charlotte, so I had to stop teaching full-time. Obviously, I can't do that from Charlotte, so now I just teach part-time again. I teach online. I love living in Charlotte because I'm closer to my family, and my husband and I just had a baby in August of 2017, so he's 5 months old now, and he's awesome. I love him. But I do not live in Wilmington anymore, so unfortunately, the only way that you guys can contact me is through email or by the phone or something like that. I loved living in Wilmington. I miss living in Wilmington, but I'm really excited for this new part of my life. So that's just a little bit about me. Let's go ahead and get into the syllabus here. I'm just going to go through everything that's in the syllabus. This is basically what you would get if you were attending the class and it was the first day of the semester. So, like I said, my name is Lisa Osborne. You can call me Lisa, you can call me Miss Osborne. It doesn't matter to me. I don't have any office hours because I don't have an office in Wilmington, so I'm only available via email. You will get, once the first day of class starts on February 5th, you'll get access to something called the Remind app. So you don't have to use it, but you can. I use it to just send out little reminders via text message. And I think it's sort of just another way that we can make the communication in the course more personal, because sometimes email is very formal and text message is more instant. It's kind of like instantaneous communication, and I think that that's better for classes and when you have questions and things like that. So we'll talk more about that later, but right now the only way to get in contact with me is via email. You'll see a phone number listed here. This will take you to the English department secretary. I don't actually share my personal phone number with anyone, and that's kind of what I like about the Remind app as well, is that it's going to be anonymous. So you don't have to have my phone number, and I don't have to have your phone number. You know, you can keep your privacy and things like that. So if you do need to like call me or something, send me an email and we can just go from there, because I'm happy to call you guys over the phone if that's what you need, but I just reserve that for like special cases. This is English 112. Now, we were in a section IO2K, but something happened with the registrar and they had to change it to IO3K. So if you're noticing any discrepancies there, it's just a technical thing, little glitch in the system. It's the same class that you signed up for before. All the same students are in the class. It's just they had to change our section number. This class is totally online. I've had students take an online class with me before and say, like, they wish there wasn't so much online content. I don't know what to make of that, because this is an online class and there's no other way to get you the information. I hope that you signed up for this class knowing that it was an online class and that we would never meet face to face. If not, I hope that's okay. There's nothing I can do to change that. So if this class is not the class for you, you can always withdraw and take it again next semester. But it's online. This is the spring. It's a 12-week course, so we're moving at a slightly faster pace than if you were taking a 16-week class, but not that much more quickly. You still have like 2 weeks in between due dates as far as major assignments, so I think that that's still manageable. Please pardon my dogs. Okay, so I'm not going to read everything in the course description or the course philosophy, but basically the goal of this class is that you are heavily exposed to writing and research, and so everything that we do in this class is research-based, and we have this little tag here. Called In the Disciplines, and what that means is just that we are trying to teach you different ways of writing. So writing for English, but also writing for sociology or psychology or something like that. Now, of course, I'm an English teacher, so I don't really have all of the answers when it comes to like, how do you write a science report? We're not going to really go into like the heavy sciences or anything like that. But the goal is just to get you familiar with different types of writing. And the way that I incorporate this in the disciplines is I teach you 2 different writing styles as far as like citation formats and paper formats and the types of essays that you might see within those styles. So first, we're going to look at the MLA format, which is generally reserved for writing in film and in English. You're probably really familiar with MLA format because if you took English 111 here, then hopefully someone taught it to you already. We're going to go into much more detail with MLA format, but I also teach APA format, which is American Psychological Association, and that's kind of like writing for the sociology, psychology majors type, things like humanities or history even. So that's another really big writing style, so I wanted to touch on that one as well. And in that, we'll do a case study, which is a common type of writing that you'll see in like psychology and sociology and things like that. Okay, so that's kind of the gist here. You can read through on your own time the course description, the philosophy, and the course objectives, and of course, the prerequisites, stuff like that, you can read yourself. Let's talk about the requirements of the class. There's 3 main things that you're going to be doing all semester. You'll take quizzes every week. I think they're pretty simple. Some of them are really, really easy, like 10 questions, true or false. Some of them are more in-depth, like you have to write a response or do a summary or create a table, like a synthesis matrix, which we'll talk about. I think that's in week 4. So the quizzes are varied. They're not just multiple choice quizzes. The point of each quiz is to test your knowledge for what you've learned that week and actually apply your learning. So everything that I teach you in Blackboard, you will apply to your quizzes and then, of course, to your unit projects. Speaking of unit projects, let's talk about those next. First, we have the MLA research process, which is your first big project. It's 40% of your grade. The first thing that you'll do is an annotated bibliography. So you'll do some research, you'll find sources, you'll summarize those sources, you'll talk about how you're going to use those sources in your final paper. And then you're going to write a research proposal where you talk about, who your audience might be, the tone of your writing, You'll talk about just kind of like why you chose this project to write about, and then you'll do some sampling. So you'll show me kind of a sample of your work that you'll put in your final paper, which is, of course, the last part of this project, the final paper. Just a really brief rundown of what the paper is about. The goal of this unit is to pick a movie or a TV show and watch a little bit of it. If it's a movie, watch the whole thing. If it's a TV show, watch a couple episodes and analyze whether or not a profession is accurately displayed in that TV show or in that movie. For example, if I wanted to pick Grey's Anatomy, I might say, well, are surgeons accurately being portrayed in Grey's Anatomy? If I was interested in, I'm trying to think of some projects my students have done in the past. There's a movie with Denzel Washington, and he's a pilot. And I cannot remember for the life of me the name of that movie, but one of my students researched was the profession of like being an airplane pilot accurately portrayed in this movie. And he went into it with this like very interesting idea of what he was going to find, but then through all of his research he realized that actually it was accurate, that it was not as glorified as it looked, but I can't remember the name of that movie. Anyway, so that's the goal of the MLA research process, and you'll be doing a bunch of research to find out like what the profession actually does, and so that's going to be the research element within that project. Now in the APA research process, which is another 40% of your grade, right here, you're doing a case study and revolving around social media. So you'll start off with an extended bibliography where you just collect 30 sources and you give me the citation for all 30 sources. And then you will have a discussion on Blackboard about your research. So it's sort of like a research proposal, but it's more like a research discussion. You know, here's my research, here's what I'm finding. The reason that I have that as an assignment for this project is because that's what you'll do a lot, like as you get further up in your studies. If you are researching, you'll share your ideas and your work with people, and that's just part of the research process. So I want to include that into this project. And then, of course, a final paper, 7 to 10 pages, just like the MLA. The goal of this project, however, is to make an argument about social media by analyzing one element of it. So we're looking at like a microcosm of something on social media, and we're using it to make an argument about a broader topic. So for example, let's say you wanted to analyze like memes. Memes are not what social media is all about, right? There's more to social media than just memes, but your case study might be analyzing, I don't know, a specific meme like the Kermit the Frog meme, or I think there's like something going around like with Tide Pods lately. I don't know. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But you could analyze the Tide Pod phenomenon on social media in order to make a bigger argument about social media. So you might look at what's going on with the Tide Pods, be able to make an argument about the Tide Pods, but then apply that argument to the broader sense of social media. People claim that this project is more exciting, but also more challenging because of the nature, I guess, of finding sources on social media and things like that. So, like I said at the beginning of this video, please don't ever hesitate to ask questions. I'm going to do my best to add as many helpful things to our Blackboard course for this project as possible. I think there's already some good stuff in there, but I'm going to try and add more just so that you have no question as to what it is that I'm asking you to do. So by the time we get to that unit in week 7, hopefully you'll be good to go and ready to go. Okay, let's talk about the grading scale. If you've ever attended CFCC in the past, you're probably super familiar with the grading scale. There is a grade that we've recently added. which is the XF grade. And basically that just means that the students stopped attending classes. So they never formally withdrew from the class. They're failing the class, but the reason they're failing isn't because they're not good at the class or they're getting Fs on tests or quizzes or papers. It's because they're not turning anything in. They've stopped coming to class. They've stopped, logging into Blackboard and things like that. So, that grade actually I give more than I wish, because I think a lot of the reasons that students do fail in online class is because they just stop doing the work for whatever reason. I mean, other classes, like, it's easy to forget about your online classes because you don't have your teacher in front of you constantly saying, hey, don't forget to do your homework. Hey, this is due this day. You don't have that engagement. So I'm going to try to combat that a little bit with like graded videos, or video grading, and with like welcome videos and weekly videos and things like that, just that you feel like you're more a part of the course, and maybe it will be harder for you to forget about it. But also, I mean, sometimes online classes just go on the back burner, and that, things become more pressing because you see them every day, but in an online class you don't. So anyway, I give this grade a lot. I hope that you don't ever have to earn the grade. Of course, it's always better to withdraw than to fail, because a W doesn't negatively affect your GPA. So anyway, we'll talk more at the withdrawal point about whether or not that might apply to you. So don't worry about anything right now. Just focus on passing the class, right? That's really important. So required materials and text. We are looking at 2 books this semester, and I have shared some things with you guys, some links here in the syllabus. So the first book is the handbook. Now, it looks like this. It's called the Prentice Hall Reference Guide. It's got this really... He looks so excited to be in college, this guy on the cover. There's also another, like, identical version of this that has a sunflower on the cover. So I believe that I've linked to that one here. Yeah, so it looks like this, if you can see this cover. It's the Prentice Hall Reference Guide, but it's one edition before the one that I just showed you. And the only real difference between this sunflower and this guy version is that the updated version has a few more like reference items in the back of the book. And if you buy it brand new, it comes with updated MLA format information. So you can definitely buy it new, but if money is an issue for you, it's okay that you use this older version, because like you see here, you can get it for like $6 on Amazon. Now these are used, so of course they might have writing in them, or they might have some wear and tear, but look, the content's the same. As long as pages aren't ripped out, I think you should go for it. So there are less expensive ways to get this textbook. Of course, you have to pay, well, look, this is free shipping, so you might not have to pay shipping, but you do have to wait a couple days. So hopefully you will go ahead and get your book so that by the time, it comes in, if the class hasn't started, or we're not too far into the class. Also, the reason I think it's okay that you don't necessarily need this version with the updated MLA stuff is that there's a website called the Purdue Owl, which has all of the updated MLA format, and it's all totally free. It's easy to access. I link it to you throughout the course. So you don't necessarily need this updated version, but you do need to have the handbook, because I will constantly say, go read this, apply this learning to your quiz, or apply what you're learning to your papers or your research proposals or your annotated bibliography or something like that. So that's the first text that you do need to have. The next text that you also need is our textbook called Perspectives on Contemporary Issues. I know it's kind of hard to see. It's black and white with a little bit of yellow in there. This is a brand new edition as of last semester, so it's the 8th edition. You can probably find the 7th edition online for less, but even though the chapters are the same, the reading is not the same. And I will ask you to read through some of the readings in this textbook that the old version doesn't have. And as far as cost goes, I did find where you can rent this book for $19 on Amazon. So that's not terribly expensive. I mean, of course, you'll have to mail it back, but look, if the ebook is $54, if I'm a student, I'd rather pay $18.99 to rent it. And then, if you love it, you can buy it at the end of the class. But let's be honest, you're not going to do that. What'd I do? It's better, I think, just to rent it. It's cheaper. So at the most, you could be out, $25 for this class. That's not that bad. That's pretty good, considering most textbooks are like $100-something. All right. So it's also important that you have access to a computer, obviously the internet, because this is an online class, and without computer and internet, you're not going to be able to log into Blackboard. You have to have self-motivation, and you have to be able to pace through these projects in a timely manner. Like, these projects are so big that you cannot wait until the last day. So all of your work is due on Sundays. If you work full time and you're going to wait until Sunday to do your work, you're going to work all day long on Sunday, and you're going to be super stressed out, and your family's going to be like, why don't we see you anymore? So just keep that in mind as you're working through this class. Let's talk about some of the policies. Plagiarism policy. Plagiarism is bad. Don't do it. You know that. Plagiarism is copying someone else's work, pretending like it's your work. If you copy and paste anything, it better be cited. It better be quoted. You can't just pass stuff off as your own. Y'all, I hope you are thinking, like, who plagiarizes? Who does that? Like, come on. But every single semester, I give somebody a 0 for plagiarism, and it happens all the time. And I get it. Our lives get stressful, and things just start piling up, and you put so much weight into your grade, and everything's riding on this, and all of that, those emotions come out, and you're like, I'm just going to just copy this down because, I don't know. But then you get a 0, and it's not worth it. So it's better to email me and ask for an extension, or email me and say, you know what, I think I'm going to plagiarize this. Is there anything you can do to help me? Yes, there is. I will help you. I will give you an extension if you think you're going to plagiarize. So please do not plagiarize. If you do, here's what's going to happen. The first time you plagiarize, I'm going to give you a 0 for the assignment. Even if only half of it was plagiarized, even if only a sentence was plagiarized, no plagiarism is acceptable in this class, and I will give you a 0 for your assignment, and I won't let you make it up. You can't redo it. You can't do something else for extra credit unless there's extra credit already out there. So do not plagiarize. A 0 on any one of these assignments means that you can't get an A in the class. A 0 on any essay means you can't get a B in the class. And so you definitely don't want to jeopardize your grade like that. If you plagiarize again, now if you plagiarize the first time, I'm going to give you a 0. I will let you know what's plagiarized. I'll link you to the plagiarized content, all that stuff, so that you don't have any questions about it. But then we'll move on. It will be a new thing. I will not hold it over your head. I won't send you emails like, hey, girl who plagiarized, or hey, plagiarism boy, or whatever. I will let it go, and we will just move on. If it happens again, automatically you will fail the course. You'll have to repeat it next semester, and you will be reported to I think it's the dean of students who I have to report plagiarism to. So second time is much more there's no, what am I trying to say? There's no sympathy in the plagiarism policy, because if you do it twice, you will fail the course. And I have had to do that a couple of times. Most people learn after the first instance of plagiarism. However, some people don't. So what does that mean for you? Well, those of you who are kind of like freaking out because, oh my gosh, what if I accidentally plagiarize? Most of the time, accidental plagiarism is something that I can take off points somewhere else. Like, I know my policy says intentional or unintentional, but that's really for those students who say, like, I didn't know that I copy and pasted my whole essay, because I probably won't believe you. But, if you like missing a citation, I'm going to take off points for that, but I'm going to teach you, hey, this is not how you cite. You missed this citation, so it's important that you fix it, or else someone more meaner than me is going to get you for plagiarism. So there are situations where I think there is a teaching moment, but obviously like blatant copying and pasting, there's no excuse for that. Also, I don't accept self-plagiarism. So if you took a class like this in the past, or if you had any assignments that were similar to the ones that I've assigned and you just turn them in for this class, that's considered self-plagiarism because you're not actually doing new work. You can always take an old assignment and tailor it and make it better and turn that in, and that's okay. But you can't just turn in the same old thing that you turned in for another class. So for me, that's also plagiarism, and you shouldn't do it because you will get a 0. Okay, let's move on. If you have questions about the plagiarism policy, please let me know. Late work. Quizzes are always due on Wednesdays by midnight, and then any major assignment is due Sundays by midnight. I think that gives you a good opportunity to kind of have them spaced out. You'll have one quiz every week, but you'll have a major assignment every other week. So like in week 1, you'll have a quiz due, but you won't have anything big until week 2. In week 2, you'll have a quiz and a major assignment due. Once you turn those assignments in, once the deadline gets here, you have a 24-hour grace period. This is something that I've added in this semester, just for various reasons, and people tugging at my heartstrings, like, it's only 4 minutes late. Why are you penalizing me? Okay, so you can have a 24-hour grace period or automatic extension. Everybody gets an extra 24 hours past the deadline. Now, that doesn't mean that the deadline is Thursday and Monday. The deadline is Wednesday and Sunday. But I'm going to let you slide if you happen to turn something in a couple hours late. I'm not going to penalize you. However, once that 24-hour period is over, you have to get those assignments turned in, or else you will be subject to the late penalty. So if that happens, quizzes, it's -1 point per day late. 100-point assignments, so that's things like the extended bibliography, the handout discussion, the annotated bibliography, and the research proposal. Those are all 100-point assignments. That will be -4 points per day late. And then for final papers, which are 200-point assignments, that's -8 per day late. It's basically half of a letter grade for each assignment. And then I don't know how much a point is for the quizzes. The quizzes are 20 points. So if you turn it in 2 days late past that grace period, you'd get an 18 out of 20, assuming that you got 100. Okay, so that's the late policy. It'll probably affect you at some point this semester unless you just do everything in advance. And don't worry about it. A couple points here and there ain't going to kill your grade. So technology, obviously we have to use technology in order to do this class because it's online. And of course, technology breaks and it fails and things crash. And my internet just went out. Somebody in my neighborhood flipped their car upside down, landed in a ditch and hit the telephone pole or some pole with wires in it. And so of course all our power went out and our internet went out. And that was out for an hour. Now, had I had something to do or a deadline, I would have been SOL because I didn't have any power, and I would have had to find a plan B, which is the whole point of this policy, is that you need to have a plan B. I'm pretty sure McDonald's gives you free Wi-Fi, and Panera Bread has free Wi-Fi, and I'm guessing Starbucks, and if you're in Wilmington, Port City, Java, which has delicious coffee, I don't know, does Java Dog downtown have free Wi-Fi? Anyway, there's plenty of places where there's free Wi-Fi, so find a backup plan. Cape Fear Community College has free Wi-Fi, obviously, and free computers, and you can use them. So please find a backup plan if something happens. Make sure that if there's a deadline, you've got it turned in already. You have access to a car to get you somewhere. What's going to happen if you're freaking out and you have an assignment due. So just make sure you have a plan B. Let's talk about Netiquette. Netiquette is like etiquette, but on the net, right? So Netiquette, at one point in the semester, we're going to have a discussion about our social media topics. Some people might choose sensitive subject topics, like, I don't know, maybe they want to talk about how everyone wants to take to social media to talk about Donald Trump, or to talk about Ben Shapiro. Somebody wrote about him last semester. Maybe you want to talk about vaccines. Maybe you don't want to talk about anything heavy-handed and you just want to talk about like memes, or I don't know, the fact that there's like a character count on Twitter. So maybe that's what you're going to talk about. But it doesn't matter. Some of the topics might be kind of controversial. So all that I ask is when you're responding to your classmates, you respond with respect. You do not have to agree with what they're saying. In fact, I think it's great when there's I don't want to say arguments, but that is probably the correct word. When people have differing opinions, I think that's awesome. And I want to see those in the discussion because it adds for a successful academic conversation. However, I want you to argue or have differing opinions respectfully. It's fine to say, well, I disagree and here's why, but it's not okay to say, you're so dumb that you think that, and how dare you voted for him, or whatever. We can have our opinions and we can be angry about our opinions, just we have to be respectful in Blackboard. So if for some reason I notice there's any issues, I'll take off 20 points from your discussion, which is a big chunk of that grade, so don't do it. And I might even bar you from being able to use the discussion board, which is something I can do in Blackboard. So just please don't get into fights on the internet with other people. Save that for Facebook. Instructor response time. I will try to email you back as fast as I can. I do have all my emails go straight to my phone. Now, sometimes my phone battery gets really low and my emails won't update. And so then I have to either manually update them or plug in my phone, which takes a while because, again, like I said, I do have a baby. So sometimes I can't always get to my phone. But I will try to email you back as soon as I can, usually within 24 hours. If you message me on the Remind app, that might even be more instantaneous because it's going to show up on my phone as a text message, and I can really quick just text message you back, or maybe think about it for a couple minutes and then text you back after that. So that's probably even faster, but sometimes text message is harder if you want to attach something, or if you had a really long question, maybe that's better for email or whatnot. If you email me and you haven't heard back, give me 2 days and then email me again. So if you haven't heard back from me within 2 days, try to email me again. Now, I might just have not emailed you back because I'm thinking about what you said, or because I couldn't get to my computer right away or something like that. But I'd rather you email me 3 times a week than you email me once and I never got your email and I never responded. As far as responding in terms of grading, I'm going to probably take about a week for quizzes and 100-point assignments, but 2 weeks for the major papers because they are longer. I am going to do video grading because Blackboard's updated how they do the grading thing, and I don't like it. So I'm going to try out this video grading. I've never done it before. But basically I'm going to do this, like we're doing here, and I'm going to walk through your work and grade it that way. You'll still get a letter grade, you'll still get your rubric and comments on your draft, but you'll also have my verbal comments as well. So that's going to take a little bit longer, and I might just start out with the essays just because this is the first semester that I'm doing it. I'm not really sure yet, but I am going to do that at least once in the semester. Okay, so attendance policy, look, it's a class, it's online. I cannot keep you accountable for coming to class. It doesn't matter when you log into Blackboard, it doesn't matter when you do your work, as long as you get your work turned in before the deadline, that's perfectly fine. So there's not really an attendance policy for this class. The only thing maybe that could be attendance policy related is enrollment verification. You do have to log into Blackboard before February 12th, which is a Monday. It's the Monday of week 2. And you have to complete the enrollment verification assignment, which you can find in Getting Started. You can find it in week 1 and you can find it in week 2. So it's kind of all over the place. That's really probably the only thing that you have to do that's attendance related, because if you don't do it by the deadline, and the deadline is very important because Cape Fear sets the deadline, not me, if you don't do it, then you'll get kicked out of the class and you'll have to take it again next semester. So that's just something that's important to remember regarding attendance. Other CFCC policies that I'm required to put in my syllabus are the religious observance policy. I don't really think this is going to affect us this semester, but if you have some reason you need to be excused from class, again, there's no attendance, so I don't see how this applies, but if it does or whatever, just go to the Vice President of Student Development and they will give you a form, and you'll give the form to me, and then you'll be able to be excused for up to 3 days or some, I don't know, 3 days, 10 days, there's a bunch of numbers in here. You have the ability to observe your religion and not be penalized for it, basically. Don't smoke. I don't know. This is another one of those policies that's probably not really for online students. You can smoke in your homes if you would like to do that. That's probably not healthy for you, but it's perfectly fine. You just can't go to Cape Fear and smoke. Contingency plan. Also, another one of those policies that I think is probably meant for face-to-face classes and not online classes. This is just basically saying if I don't show up within 15 minutes, then you get to leave. Again, we don't meet face-to-face, so I don't see how this one applies. This is important, though, accommodation of special needs. So if you have any kind of disability, learning disability or whatnot, that makes it difficult for you to learn any of the content that I've posted on Blackboard, then you can see the Disability Services Coordinator, and they will give you a form that you can send to me via email. So that would probably look like if you needed extra time on your quizzes because you had a learning disability that affected the speed of your reading, or like dyslexia or something like that. I don't know exactly. But that's probably what that would look like. I do try to make sure that every single video I post in Blackboard has captions to it. And I use the YouTube auto caption function for that, so that you have access to captions in case there's like a hearing impairment or something like that. And so I've tried to kind of think of some things in advance, but of course, if there's anything else that you can think of, I am happy to make any accommodations that you need. So all you have to do is just let me know through that form, and I'll keep that on my files and just make sure that I am accommodating for whatever your needs are. My CFCC, they want us to tell you about that. So that's your student web portal. Mine is always inactive because I never log in. But once you log in, everything that you need is right here. Maybe it's down here. It depends on where you put it. But Blackboard, your email, web advisor. If you're in like a math class, you would need to go to My Labs, whatever. Stuff like that is here. And then, of course, it tells you other things like what food is going to be on campus, which is probably, oh my gosh, y'all get smoothies now? That is delicious. Okay, so that's really important too. And then, of course, there's like events and things. So that's just a little brief My CFCC. At the bottom of the syllabus is also the English department plagiarism policy. Mine is slightly more strict than this one, which is why I just put the policy all the way at the bottom. And then, of course, you can find the course calendar on Blackboard along with any posted assignments. However, I did email it to you guys somewhere. Let's see. Nope, that's English 111. Okay, I haven't emailed it to you yet, but I will. Probably along with this video. So here it is. You will get access to the course calendar probably at the same time that you're seeing this video. And it's just going to show you all the due dates and when you have to turn things in, when spring break is. Ooh, ooh. Okay, so I think that covers everything that I wanted to talk to you about. Again, I told you it'd be a long video. there's just so much to tell you about. But that covers it all. I can't get to the top of the page fast enough, can I? Here we go. Okay, so I'm done. I don't know why I needed to scroll all the way back up. Hopefully you guys will watch all of my videos. Go ahead and check out the Getting Started with Blackboard video, because that's going to walk you through kind of how I organize the class, and hopefully it will help you kind of make sense of everything as well. So enjoy the videos. Have a good few more days before class starts, and I will see you guys in Blackboard February 5th. Bye.